Today's video is for you if you've ever looked around your home and thought, I love my stuff, but I also feel suffocated by it. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel where we talk all about decluttering your home and your life so you can make space for what really matters. If you're new here, I'm Shannon, host of the Paring Down podcast, and I help you declutter without the guilt, overwhelm, or perfectionism that so often comes with paring down. Because you don't have to get rid of everything to feel lighter. You just need to get clear on what actually adds value to your life. So go ahead and hit subscribe if all of that sounds good to you. If you're here today because you like your stuff, it could be the case that you've already tried decluttering before, but every time you pick something up, you think, but this is cool, I might use it, or it costs money. So how do you simplify when you genuinely love your things? That's exactly what we're going to dive into. So let's talk about 6 strategies to declutter your stuff, even when everything feels special. I won't lie to you, I saved my favorite strategy for the end, so be sure to watch all of it. Okay, here we go. Strategy number 1, redefine what love means. When people say, I can't declutter my home because I love everything I own, it usually means they have positive feelings towards their things. And that's completely normal because we buy things to make our lives better or easier or more beautiful. But over time, those items can multiply until the very things that brought us joy start making life harder. Here's the truth. You can love something and still let it go. Think of your stuff like a relationship. Not every person you've loved was meant to stay in your life forever. Some friendships were right for a season, and some helped you grow, and then it was time to move on. Your belongings work the same way. That dress that made you feel confident 5 years ago, it served its purpose. The hobby supplies that once inspired you, they played their role. Instead of asking, do I love this? Ask, does this still support the person I am today? An example from my life is that I let go quite a few of my summer dresses that I actually really loved. I thought they were super cute and even fit the vibe of who I am today. That said, at that point in my life, I lived in Florida where summer dresses should theoretically have the highest likelihood of getting worn, and I still rarely wore them. I wore the same 2, maybe 3 to church on Sundays, but I simply did not need the volume of summer dresses I'd bought before adopting this more decluttered life. Therefore, I made the choice to declutter some of them, even though I did love them. They simply weren't functional for my life, even if they could or should have been in theory. I could appreciate how much I liked them and even feel gratitude that I owned them, but then accept that how much I like or love them isn't a reason to keep everything. Instead, I can focus on the love I feel for a closet that doesn't feel overwhelming with decision fatigue and the satisfaction of being a super intentional person about what stays in my life. I can love it and let it go. So that means we redefine what love is. We can love something, and it doesn't mean we also have to own it. All right, strategy number 2 is create love it and use it zones. If you are someone who loves aesthetics and textures or stories behind your things, decluttering can feel like a betrayal to yourself. So instead of starting with, what can I get rid of? Start with, what do I truly use and what do I truly love? Here's how to do this. Pick a category like clothing, decor, kitchen tools, right? And make 2 piles. Really zone down here because I'm going to suggest that you take this whole category out into one pile. So I don't want you to feel overwhelmed, like you have to do all of this with all of your clothes at one time. So maybe start with your t-shirts or your summer dresses or some smaller zone or subsect like beneath the greater umbrella of clothing or whatever your umbrella is. So pile 1 will be, I use this often. Pile 2 will be, I love this so much, even though I don't use it very often. And if it doesn't fit into one of those categories, just leave it in your original, I took them all out and put them in one place pile. When you're done, look at what's left that didn't make it into either one of those piles. Some of those items will feel precious, but here's the thing. It can either take up space in your prime real estate of things you use regularly, that's one of the piles, or you can box it up and put it away, but then you won't really be appreciating it and loving it. So give your favorites the visibility, display the art piece you adore, frame the vintage scarf your grandmother gave you, do something. We're going to talk more about that later, but we really want to give our favorite items somewhere to breathe. And if you don't have enough space for the things you love without your home being super overwhelming, you'll just have to revisit point number 1 about redefining what it means to love something. That said, I think that if you do this pile process, you will be surprised at how much stuff inside your house that you don't truly love. Like you're gonna have your use and love pile, and there's gonna be leftovers. And it's tempting to say, I love everything I own, but you may not actually when it all boils down to it. Okay, strategy number 3. Ask, would I choose this item again today? When we love our stuff, it's easy to assume that love is permanent, but our taste, lifestyle, and priorities change. I touched on this in point number 1, but this is huge to consider in its own right. You might think you love something, but in reality, a past version of you loved it, not the person you are today. So maybe you used to love entertaining, but now you'd rather have quiet evenings. Or you used to love collecting candles, but now they give you a headache because aging. Anyone else? That doesn't mean that you've changed for the worse. It just means that your season in life has shifted. So as you declutter, hold each item and ask, if I were standing in a store today, would I buy this again? If the answer is yes, great. It is still meaningful. If the answer is no, that's your sign that your love for it might belong to a different version of you. Here's an example. I had a really hard time letting go of my pageant dresses. Each one represented a certain year and memory and even a friendship during a time in my life that was honestly really fun. I really truly felt love every time I looked at each individual gown, but of course, I would never buy a pageant gown today. It does not fit my present day life. So the love I had for these dresses was strictly sentimental. So I had to ask myself, does this love for these memories still exist even if I don't have this item? Do I have something else that could represent this memory? I can consider the pictures I have or a smaller token of that memory like my crown, which I still do have from when I was Miss New York. Sentimentality can be tricky, but figuring out when your love for something is actually your love for a memory really does open the door to find a way to move forward without that specific item. You realize that you can love the memory more than the item. So for me, I kept one gown that represented that season of life as a whole, because remember, I'm not a staunch minimalist here. You don't have to get rid of every last thing, but I did go ahead and let go of the rest. So remember, decluttering isn't about rejecting what you once loved. It's about making space for what fits who you are now, which is totally possible while still loving who you used to be. Okay, strategy number 4 is to experiment with temporary separation. Sometimes we feel stuck between loving something and knowing that it's adding to the clutter. Basically, you really can't decide if you should keep it or get rid of it. So when that happens, you don't have to decide right away. Instead, try a temporary separation. Here's what I mean. Pick a few items that you're unsure about, maybe some decor, clothes, hobby supplies. It can be anything really, and box them up and label that box with today's date, what is inside, and then this part is huge. Close it up so you cannot see what is inside and put it out of sight for 30 to 60 days. Be sure to set a calendar reminder for those 30 to 60 days in the future so you don't just like forget about the box forever and ever. But when that time comes, ask yourself, do you miss anything that is inside of that box? Do you even remember what you packed away without going to read the list on the outside? If not, it's probably not really valuable, right? It means those things are not as essential to your happiness as they felt in that first moment that you thought about getting rid of them. But if you do find yourself thinking, oh, I wish I still had that, well, you can simply go get it. No guilt, no pressure. And you can just read what's labeled on the box to remind you of what's in it, but reading the reminder will be way less tempting than actually seeing all the stuff with your eyes to like keep it all, right? You learn what's truly part of your daily life and what's just taking up space because it's kind of hard to let go. And often, once the pressure is off to make the perfect decision while you're decluttering, you realize you don't really need those items back at all. So that temporary separation box relieves that initial pressure. Okay, strategy number 5 is limit by space, not by guilt. You've heard me say this before, but one of the simplest ways to declutter when you have a love of stuff is to let your space set the boundary. If it's books, decide how many shelves that you could realistically maintain without feeling crowded. If it's that you love clothes, decide how many hangers fit comfortably in your closet. If you love kitchen gadgets, pick one drawer that holds what you actually use. So when that space is full, the hangers are full, that's your cue. When something new comes in, something old goes out. And that way you're not forcing yourself to get rid of things just because you should. You're just maintaining the balance within your space. And your boundary forces you to really whittle down your absolute favorites, which ends up making you love that category of stuff even more. You're going to start realizing that you can still enjoy your favorite things without being buried by them. So I did this with my book collection, and I cannot begin to tell you the joy I feel from my two highly curated, beautiful shelves, right? It's just so much greater than when I kept all the books I've ever read. Love does not have to mean excess. It can mean choosing what's worth the space, physically, mentally, and emotionally. All right, last but not least, I love this one. Give your favorites a purpose. If you genuinely love your stuff, one of the best ways to love it and honor it is to use it intentionally. So instead of asking, should I keep this or not? Try asking, how can this item add value right now? So if you love your grandma's dishes, don't pack them away for a special occasion. Make Sunday dinner feel special by using them. If you adore your collection of candles, light them instead of saving them. If you have beautiful notebooks that you've never written in, write in them. Do not save the good stuff, because when we actually use and enjoy what we own, it transforms clutter into meaning. You're no longer surrounded by potential joy. You're surrounded by things that are actively adding joy to your everyday life. And here's what usually happens. So once you start using your favorite things, you naturally discover which items really matter and which ones were just space fillers. That awareness makes it so much easier to let go of the rest without regret. So instead of storing love in a box, put it on the shelf. Enjoy it to live more fully with what you already have, and then let the clutter eliminate itself. So let's do a little recap. Number 1, redefine what love means. Number 2, create love it or use it piles and zones. Number 3, ask, would I choose this again today? Number 4, experiment with temporary stations. Number 5, limit by space, not by guilt. Number 6, give your favorites a purpose. Loving your stuff isn't the problem. The problem is when your stuff starts to take up space meant for living. You can honor your things, your memories, your past, and still make room for who you're becoming. If this video helped you feel a little lighter, give it a like, hit subscribe, and share it with a friend who's stuck between I love it and I need to let it go. And if you want more gentle, real-life strategies for decluttering without the guilt, check out my playlist of the Paring Down podcast. This is my little podcast studio, and it's going to be right there in the description of this video. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.